Good evening, race fans. Welcome here to Bristol for tonight's Bristol 175. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me up here in the booth, as always, is Chris Wright. Chris, how the heck you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing great. Just got through talking to some of the drivers. We got us a little bit of a smaller field out here tonight. I have a dream, and it's green flag pit stops at Bristol.
Well, I don't know if your dream's going to come true, but we'll see. Tonight's race format, 175 laps, halfway around lap 88. I'm not sure if Chad's going to do it on 87 or 88, but 4 sets of tires available tonight. So skimping a little bit on the tires, but either way, should be a good race night ahead of us here tonight. Looking at the starting grid, Chase Cabre and Scott Crump going to make up row number 1. Crump, the only one locked into the championship. For everyone else in blue, still alive. Most of them looking like they might have to win to get in. Tyler Fode, Gerald Campbell, row 2. Chad Frankenfield, Ethan Stanley in row 3. Nick Massey, Matthew Weeks, row 4. Tyler Pop, Gavin Higgins in row 5 with Jesse Bersemus and Brandon Ultra in row 6. Chris, why don't you take us through the rest of the field?
Yeah, rolling off right here in 13th is Tate Lytle with Michael Hosick. We got Jane Racimus, Ethan Burrell, Hunter Smith, Ty McIntosh, Mark Rebilas, Jay Conor, Seth Rawls running out our qualified cars, and then we have Gavin Hibbs, Kyle Hanshaw, and Connor Thompson. But I believe Kyle Hanshaw has been kicked from the session already. Well, not kicked. He has dropped out of the session. So we'll see if he's able to get back when he is permissed to start.
Okay, that definitely sounds a little bit better than him being kicked from the server. I thought he was doing something wrong.
Kicked him from the session.
Yeah,
That's why I caught myself. I was like, wait a minute. I don't want people to get the wrong idea.
Because we've had that in these playoffs, so we don't want that again.
That's all we got.
23 cars, a very light field tonight, but honestly, Chris, I mean, aside from it kind of being disappointing for the playoff guys, seeing as they're not going to have the opportunity to necessarily gain as many points on the racetrack. So some of those guys that are deeper back, as well, just take a quick gander at the points here. You know, you look at the likes of David Tooker, Gerald Campbell, Seth Rawls, Chase Cabre. A couple of those guys actually aren't even here tonight, but some of those guys further back could have potentially pointed their way in. Yeah, no. I said a couple guys not here. David Tooker's not here. Actually, he's the only playoff guy not here. So some of those guys that were further back, Chris, of course, looking for those points to try to get into that championship 4. Not going to be able to do it, but pace car is off. We're going to get set to go green this time, as it's Scott Crump up on the high side. We are green flag racing here already at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Looking at Tyler Fode, he's up on the high side, getting a push there from Ethan Stanley. Going to try to work their way forward. Actually, no, that's Gerald Campbell in the 00. Campbell already doing a nice job here tonight, Chris. His confidence level, I think, was pretty high coming into this one, knowing that he'd have a good opportunity to potentially battle for the race win. Gerald Campbell, of course, a previous champion here in the Elite Racing League.
Yeah, and Gerald, he's pretty confident. He thinks he's got good speed. I'm looking at him as a guy that's going to have to win. You know, Scott is already, feeling pretty locked in. So I think you know what? I was going to pick somebody else, and right here on the fly, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to take Gerald Campbell to win this thing tonight. I think it's going to be an exciting race, and I believe based on those points here at the green flag, Tyler Fode could go ahead and pencil himself into the championship 4 with his teammate Scott Crump.
I believe you're correct on that one as well. We may see Fode change to green a little bit later on. He was 28 points to the good. The only people that can really gain 28 points tonight would be the race winner. So Tyler Fode is now going to be finding himself locked in to the championship 4 alongside his teammate Scott Crump. Like you mentioned there, Chris, right?
Yeah, Blake Norman setting up pretty good here for all the struggle that we heard through the regular season. When the playoffs came on, Scott Crump got hot. Tyler Fode has gotten super consistent. And so all of a sudden we're sitting here and saying Blake Norman's got 2 of the 4 spots. The other 2 are up for grabs.
Oh, Gerald Campbell around! Oh, no! Gerald Campbell going to go around caution number 1 of the day. No contact with anything, so he's definitely not out of it yet, Chris. We'll take a look, see what happened. I believe it's contact with Ethan Stanley. Gerald kind of checks up a little bit. Coming off the exit of the corner, the 92 of Stanley into the back of him, sends the 00 around, and that will bring up the first caution of the day. It's unfortunate there for Gerald. Going to have a lot of work to do if he wants to get himself back up to the front. Actually, I believe he might have left. Wow. Gerald Campbell just straight up leaving. Interesting.
I think something happened to Gerald's car.
I don't think so, Chris. Do you want to ride on board here? Let's go on board with Gerald.
Listen to his car. He never goes back to something broke. Something broke over there. He is having some kind of equipment problem.
We're going to back that up once again. We're going to go further back, though.
Yeah, I think so.
He sustained RPMs through the corner. Just was not able to really find the gas pedal to get going once again. So Gerald Campbell looks like he might be eliminated from the playoffs here already. Only 10 laps into this one. Very, very odd there, Chris Wright. Not sure what the issue was with Gerald. We'll see if we can find out a little bit later on. But as they run, it's Scott Crump, Ethan Stanley, Tyler Fody, Chase Cabry, and Chad Frankenfield, the top 5. Matthew Weeks, Nick Massey, Gavin Higgins, Tyler Popp, and Tate Lytle. Those inside the top 10. Lights are off on the iRacing.com pace car. We're going to get set to go back under green flag conditions this time by as we work our way down the back straight away. Chris, I didn't make my race pick earlier on, so I'm not going to do so now, seeing as yours had issues early on. It just wouldn't necessarily be fair at this point, because anyone I would take would surpass yours.
We'll just take a new. I will say this: I was going to grab Gerald for an interview, and he has already left.
Yeah, frustration for sure. All right, go ahead and make your pick here real quick before Chad wrecks these guys ahead of him.
Well, you know what? I was going to pick somebody else. I chose not to. I'll still choose not to. I'll take Nick Massey to win and in tonight.
Oh, man.
He'll get the job done. Mr. Nick Massey.
All right, so we're going wild picks here. I'm going to go Gavin Higgins in the 20. Currently in the 7th position. We'll see if he's going to be able to get up there and get it done. Watching Frankenfield down on the inside of Fody. They're going to be side by side for position number 2, working their way down the front straightaway into turn number 1. It's Fody up top, Frankenfield down on the inside lane there, trying to work his way up to the top side. Can't do it as Ethan Stanley going to close that hole up there behind his teammate Tyler Fody. It's Lake Norman leading the high side here. That is Frankenfield, the only car on the inside right now, aside from Gavin Higgins, inside that top 10. There's Weeks and Cabry up top as well. Everyone else seemingly finding a home up there on that high side.
Yeah, it's if you run the bottom, it'll save the tires quite a bit. But if you run the bottom, you're going to give up a lot of time in the first 15 laps. So kind of a tough deal to be put into. As you see, Matthew Weeks right at the bottom, pretty good. Ethan Stanley with the big wiggle off of turn 2.
Yeah, Stanley's had a couple bobbles here, Chris, over the last handful of laps, which has really set him back now under fire from Matthew Weeks. Chase Cabry's right there as well. Of course, Chase, one of those front runners in the points, going to have himself a solid run to solidify his spot into that next round. Kyle Hanshaw appears to be in the process of joining us now in this race, as he has just entered the racetrack, going to head to pit road and get behind the wheel of that 46 car. So we'll see if he's able to come out and turn a couple of laps at some point in this event. Gerald Campbell still not back out onto the racing surface. Watching a battle just outside the top 10 is 14th place Burrell, 15th place Racines, and 16th place Gavin Hibbs all together there. Ty McIntosh just ahead of them, as well as Brandon Ultra, Jesse Racines, and Tate Lytle. As Tate Lytle side by side with Nick Massey. Massey up on the high side, Lytle down on the bottom. That's Tyler Pop just ahead of them. Side by side ahead is Chase Caber and Gavin Higgins. Higgins on the inside, and this is an absolute gaggle up here at the front of the field. Everyone stacked up behind Scott Crump. It's Fody also cleared there, and then it's side by side between now what is Stanley and Weeks, with Frankenfield in that third spot. He's now going to be side by side with Weeks here, already working lap number 24.
Yeah, and I think what they're doing is they're running the top, but Scott's kind of keeping a pace where he's not going to hurt the tires. I think Fody's protecting as well. They're all just being patiently aggressive right here, running just as hard as they need to. Ooh, a little blink out of the 40.
A little blink out of the 40, a little blink out of the 11 as well. Kind of odd that there's a couple blinks up there. Got to wonder potentially server issues going to come into play here.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I was, with a couple cars that we don't typically see have internet issues, race control is not going to do or say anything unless it gets way bad on just one of these guys in particular.
Yeah, definitely don't normally see blinking out of the 11 car or the 40 for that matter. Both of those guys usually fairly stable connections. There is a big update coming through tomorrow for iRacing. Well, I don't know how big it is. I just know that there's an update coming tomorrow, so got to wonder potentially if on the iRacing side they're starting to push through a couple of those updates onto their server, maybe causing some backup there as we're watching the battle a little bit further back. Just at the tail of the top 5 is Chase Cabery and Matthew Weeks. Cabery up top, Weeks on the bottom, side by side behind them between Gavin Higgins and Tate Lytle. Higgins now kind of side by side between both Lytle and Weeks is Jesse Racines and Tyler Pop coming into the picture. 30 down, 145 laps to go here. Scott Crump continuing to be the top dog on campus here tonight, as Cabery gonna take a look, see if he can work his way up past Ethan Stanley, and now gonna be side by side with Chad Frankenfield.
Yeah, and the bottom gets up there a little bit, and then they fall back. They get up there a little bit, they fall back. See what Chase can do at the bottom. So far, I don't think anybody's really been able to get the Fody.
No, and that's absolutely helping Scott Crump at this point, staying out front, because nobody's been able to get up there to battle it out with his teammate who's in that second spot. Scott, as you can see, pulling away just a little bit, about 0.3 of a second between himself and Tyler Fody there. The field, as you can see, kind of a mixed bag. You have some single file, some double file. No 3 wide, which is a good thing, but looking at a couple guys that seem to be struggling so far here, Chris, and it's really surprising to see their names either at the tail of the top 10 or even just outside of it. Ethan Burrell in 14th, Seth Rawls in 15th. Burrell, of course, a champion here in Elite. Seth Rawls, one of those playoff guys, just not having a good night tonight, and this is when he really needs to get that good night to work his way up into one of those championship 4 spots.
Well, and right now it's kind of in a spot where if you got on the bottom on the restart and you lost some ground, you're going to have to, you need a full run to make it back up. And I have no doubt that some of those guys that are back there right now are just, as soon as the tires start to wear and people start to having to use the tire, that's when they're going to try to the bottom and pass it.
Yeah, watching a bit of a gaggle back here once again, Chris. Everyone pretty much behind Tate Lytle is 2 wide for a couple of rows there. It's Tate Lytle, Gavin Higgins, then Tyler Pop, Jesse Racines. Now we're watching Ty McIntosh and Nicholas Massey as they're going to look 3 wide, try to split the Gavin Higgins machine. Jesse Racines went down to the bottom. Higgins now going to fall back. Ty McIntosh took a look to the inside there, thought better of it. Jake Connor gets a little bit sideways. That welcomes Ethan Burrell and Seth Rawls to come up into that fight for the top 10.
And I'm going to tell you, the 13 guys took back a Tate and won there. And I thought I thought Tate might go around down there in the days going by machine, but he did not. He was able to save it. We'll have to see what happens. So they still run side by side. As you can see right now, the top is becoming the place to be back here in this traffic. The 70s really starting to struggle on the bottom. Just take a look here. Weeks has a pretty decent gap out in front of him. So I don't know if he's saving tires or if he's just, you know, struggling on that. I guess we'll find out over the course of the run. Ethan Stanley backing up a little bit up there maybe at this point in the run. We'll see if Ethan can keep his track position. Tight side by side there as the 70 pulls alongside the 11. I think that 11's really starting to struggle. Weeks nearly spins out here off of turn 4. The 13's running these boys way up the racetrack there. I think that's one of those things where it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
That's exactly it, Chris. Always easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, depending on the situation. My apologies for stepping away there for just a moment. Had to take a phone call, but looks like things have been fairly quiet when I was away, Chris.
I mean, it got a little interesting. Tyler Popp is really being aggressive running up the racetrack. And it looks like Weeks is really struggling. Weeks is... It's kind of surprised here to see Weeks be the guy that's backing up really hard at this point in the race.
Do you think that's tires, or like that he's losing tires? Is he trying to save a little bit? Maybe try to make this a one-stop race? What do you think the deal is there?
I think it's a one-stop race for everybody, no matter what. So I think he's just worn him out.
Yeah,
I think he's gotten tight.
I think it definitely should be a one-stop race. This is less than 100 miles that the drivers are racing here tonight, so I wouldn't necessarily expect to see a lot of wear and tear on the tires, and the fuel should be able to at least make it halfway in the event. As we watch battle here for second, Fody up top, Cabry down on the inside. Chase Cabry doing a nice job in the speed factor. Ford number 39 here tonight.
I'm gonna tell you a guy that you like to harp on every week. I'm gonna harp on him for doing really good right now. This guy fell back to about 11th or 12th there, and then
yeah, he's doing okay.
Once they got strung out and he was able to go to the bottom and pick them off, Nick Massey's about to crack the top 5.
You know I love Nick Massey. He's a great guy, and I always love to give him heck each and every week. He's doing a nice job up to 5th. Another guy, honestly, Chris, we have to mention. You didn't mention him here, but just ahead of him, Jesse Racines. Up 7 spots on the day. One of the biggest movers. Gavin. Oh, Ethan Stanley! What a save! Wow.
James, you owe me a Coke.
Maybe not. I'm not giving you any Coke. There goes Gavin Higgins. Oh, man. We should not be making race picks. There goes Tyler McIntosh. Old Tyrone going around. Hunter Smith going to go around. Caution going to come out. Somebody's bumper just went flying, so somebody else just got involved in this as well. I want to show the Ethan Stanley one first. You can see it right here, just ahead. He went first slide. Then Higgins going to have a little bit of contact there from Burrell. McIntosh. Okay, it's McIntosh's bumper that's going to go off as Hunter Smith going to get involved. The bumper tries to make its way back to its home, but just not able to do it. So 2 incidents there. And unfortunately for McIntosh, I think he's going to be the one with the most damage out of anyone. Jaden Racines showing that he's just had an issue as well. I wonder if that's just because he came to a stop. Yes. Okay, so Jaden Racines comes to a stop. Everyone coming pit side. I'm going to throw the question out here, Chris Wright. Can they make it at this point? I think there might be a possibility that they can make it this 125 laps. Or 120 at this point.
Oh, yeah. They'll be able to make it.
All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to step away as these drivers take their pit stop. When we come back, we'll take you through the middle portion of today's Bristol 175 here on the Elite Racing Network. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle. Friday, August 16th and Saturday, August 17th. The race everyone talks about. The Bommarito Automotive Group 500. Only at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Go to WWTRaceway.com now because the first deal is the best deal. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Discover Downstate Illinois.
And we are back here at Bristol. It's Ethan Stanley, the control car now on the inside. Scott Crump to his outside. Row number 2 is going to be Tyler Fody and Chase Cabry. Row 3, Chad Frankenfield, Jesse Racimus. Row 4, Tate Lytle and Nick Massey. Row 5, Tyler Poop and Matthew Weeks.
And the 92 machine took 2 right side tires right there. We got to get that out of the way before they go green. He drops anchor.
2 tires. I don't know. It might work.
I doubt it.
Oh. As we just went green, Scott Crump dropped anchor right there. He didn't go whatsoever. Tyler Fody going to go to the high side. Jesse Racimus going to get into the battle for 3rd. Chad Frankenfield going to check up. Nearly gets hit by Tate Lytle right there. So these drivers all duking it out all throughout the field. 60 down, 115 to go. So making good timing here so far. A race like this, Chris, we can get done in approximately 1 hour. Or just over 1 hour, so we'll see what these guys can do here tonight.
Yeah, it's Chad gets hit.
I'm gonna
they're stacking
say,
up. Oh, they're gonna wreck in the back.
Tyler Pop. Oh, big hit for Higgins, Hosick, Racimus, McIntosh, every damn body else at the back of the field. I think Mark Rebilas gonna be involved in that as well. Wow. Well, just as quickly as we said they were doing a good job, it all went away. So stack up behind Chad leads to a big stack up there. Multiple cars getting involved. Gavin Higgins, I want to see this one because I'm not 100% sure how he ended up getting involved in this. It was a separate incident. Or was it? No, he just dove down to the inside, right into the side of Michael Hosick. Brandon Ultra, innocent bystander there. Connor Thompson just stops, does a nice job getting around it, but numerous cars involved in that one. Chris is, of course, we just had a commercial break just a moment ago. You heard from our friends at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Congratulations to them on another successful race weekend just this past week. Can't say enough about the great job they do and the support that they give to us. Be sure to check them out for their IndyCar racing a little bit later this season. Also got to give a shout out to Blue Egg Marketing, the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. Mark Rebilas of Rebilas Photography, as we'll take a look at him towards the back of the field, still does not have the correct banner.
I think we're talking about Mark right here, and he's the sponsor of the series. I'll tell you what, Mark just had an IQ 1000 move to get through that wreck. He just slowed up, stopped, and you might think, well, that's what you're supposed to do, but a lot of times on iRacing, man, that is not what happens. And Mark did a great job to miss this wreck back here. And we appreciate everything he does for the series.
Yeah, not even just the series, Chris. He does so much for Elite as a whole. Of course, the sponsor of the Rebilas Photography 500, which is our version of the famed Indianapolis 500, and everything else that he does for the league. Check them out, rebilasphoto.com, for all your photography needs, as this field has shrunk down just a little bit here. Chris, have we lost anyone else in addition to Gerald Campbell and Kyle Hanshaw?
Well,
as of yet,
I'm going to go ahead and say Brandon Ultra, I thought blew up when he hit, but he's still out there running.
He's out there. He looks okay.
I thought that car, I swear I saw, was it his car or was it somebody else's car?
Gavin Higgins, probably. Higgins got collected there with Brandon Ultra and took a huge impact to the inside wall. So most likely it was the 20 that you saw blowing up. And the lights are off in the iRacing.com pace car. Just over 100 laps remaining. It's Ethan Stanley, Tyler Froty, Jesse Racines, Nick Massey, and Scott Crump, the top 5. Then it's Cabry, Weeks, Frankenfield, Hibbs, and Burrell rounding out the top 10. What was already a smaller field here tonight continues to decrease in size, as unfortunately we are losing a couple of cars due to rather heavy damage. We're actually not even going to need to rotate the ticker anymore, Chris, on the bottom, as we got about 20 cars out there on the racetrack now.
Yeah, we are running out of cars in a hurry. Green is out. Scott Crump once again with the bad restart.
Yeah, Crump not really getting good restarts here. Unfortunately for him, well, that was Tyler Fody actually to his outside. Scott Crump way at the back.
Scott took off terrible too.
Well, they do say twos are terrible. Look at Jesse Racines, man. He's looking for second. What has gotten into this man tonight?
Getting after it.
I like it. I love it, man. I mean, a guy like Jesse Racines, somebody that they had himself a couple seasons in the PitPassNetwork.com ARCA series, which of course does return in about 3 weeks' time here on the Elite Racing Network. Be sure to tune in for that. Not sure who's covering it. I believe Matthew Weeks might be the producer, or Jesse Racines himself. It's going to be one of those two guys, and then you might see a grab bag of commentators throughout the season. But that one kicking off again here soon. A great development tool for many of the drivers that you see out on the racetrack here tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot of things behind the scenes in Elite. I believe it's announced, right? The Mazda series that we're running.
Yeah. Well, if it wasn't, it is now, because you just said it. But no, Chad put the post out the other day. I believe it's a 4-race series. It's either 4 or 6 races that's going to be with the Mazda. Going to be pretty cool. We'll see how that one goes. Obviously, we ran the sports car series last season as a little bit of an exhibition race series, and it seemed to be pretty popular. So we'll see how that one goes. Obviously, Chad, no stranger to trying something different, seeing what we can put together to get some great racing going out there on the racetrack and something different. So I would expect a guy like a David Tooker to, of course, be one of the front runners in that series if he does opt to run it, because, well, that's what he races in real life. So
I felt pretty good about the Mazda series being announced. You know, it's not like I announced that something might be coming later this year with the Gen 4 car and keep your eyes posted or something. I didn't do anything like that. I didn't drop any bombshell news like that.
No. We also have a new sponsor in the Elite Racing League. Chad announced today. Let me just double check the name on that before I actually say anything. It's a camera. Whiplash Sim Cams is the new partner for next season, as well as 4D Racewear. They're going to come on board as well. Chad, too busy making sponsor deals, going to put himself in the outside wall. But 2 great new premier partners here for the Elite Racing League next season with Whiplash Sim Cams and 4D Racewear. Thank you to them if they're tuned in here tonight for coming on board for 2024 B action of the Elite Racing League. Chad almost spun himself right there off the nose of Gavin Hibbs. I don't know if you saw that, Chris, but when he cleared himself on Hibbs, it was not quite clear as he might have assumed.
Yeah, Chad taking chances out here. I'll tell you.
That's nothing new. Honestly, it really isn't. Chad, one of those guys, you know, I think he has some frustration at this point, Chris. It's been a while since we've been able to see him in victory lane in any Elite Series. I think he has won this season in Cup, maybe?
He's won in this series too, right? Didn't he
Did
win
he?
a race in this series? He might not have.
I don't think so.
That, but I think he did.
I don't think he did. If he did, congratulations. If he didn't, well, keep pushing. As we're side by side
Look
for
at him trying to do a slide job. Trying to do a slider.
Into the wall and into the phony goes Chad. Tyler's not going to like that.
I believe he apologized to Cody and said it didn't work.
No, it didn't. Oh no, Chad going to get together with Chase Gabriel. And Chad brings out the yellow.
Well, I believe Fody said, yeah.
That didn't work either. Oh, man. Chad going to come down, collect Chase Gabriel. Honestly, Chris, I think Chase is going to be okay because it looked like half of that contact was actually some sort of connection lag / netcode because you can see Chase's car in the middle of Chad's there. So I think Chad and Chase both should be A-okay from that one, aside from losing a bunch of positions. But that, a little bit of aggression coming into the picture here early on. Now, obviously, Chris, Ethan Stanley, Jesse Racines, Gavin Hibbs, Tyler Fody, Hunter Smith now the top 5. Followed by Seth Rawls, Matthew Weeks, Jay Connor, Tate Lytle, and Chase Cabry, the top 10. A couple drivers coming down pit road, including Cabry, Massey, Crump, Thompson, McIntosh, Frankenfield, and Rebilas. So second big cycle of pit stops here for the field, just past halfway, or actually just approaching halfway here at Bristol. I believe Ethan Stanley going to get credited with being that halfway leader. For those of you keeping score at home, the majority of the field did pit on lap number 55. A handful of drivers, Jay Connor, Tate Lytle, Brandon Ultra, and Jaden Racines pit on lap number 63. So now the freshest of tires going to be that of Nick Massey in position number 13, just exiting pit road now. We'll wait just a moment to hear an update from race control on what the ruling is after the fourth caution of the day here on lap number 87.
Well, that's on the 40 car there.
The 40, okay.
Yeah, I believe he was mad about that half slide job that almost got there and was frustrated.
Yeah, it's...
And the very next lap he said, you know, I didn't appreciate that, so... see you later.
Well, see you later indeed, is what Tyler Fody said. We might get a word with him a little bit later on if he makes himself available to us, or we just tell him he's available and we'll have a word with him. So now Chad gonna have to work his way up from 19th, Chris. That's going to be interesting to see. Just a quick note on your playoff drivers, as I believe we are going 1 to green. It's Ethan Stanley, currently the top of those playoff drivers, not locked in to the next round. Tyler Fody is locked in. Seth Rawls, Matthew Weeks are not locked in, but are up there now. Nick Massey in 12th. Scott Crump is locked in. Chase Cabry in 14th is not locked in either. And of course, Gerald Campbell out of tonight's event as the pace car about to make that turn down to pit road. We're going to get set to go green once again here. Chris Wright, Ethan Stanley on the inside, Jesse Racines on the high side. As we hit the Geico restart zone, we hit the green flag and we are back underway. Gavin Hibbs going to clear up ahead of Jesse Racines. Racines now under fire from Hunter Smith. Smith down on the inside of him, side by side for position number 3. Weeks to the inside of Tyler Fody just behind there. That's the battle for position number 5 as Racines holding on to 3rd. Looking a little bit further back, Scott Crump going to go into the inside wall. Connor Thompson going to go for a slide as well, as we are under caution once again, and it involves Scott Crump. Checkup behind Brandon Ultra there leads to a domino effect, and it's going to be Mark Rebilas into the back of Scott Crump, going to send him around. And I believe the checkup actually starts when Chase Caber goes down to the inside of Ultra. Ultra comes up into the side of Ethan Burrell, and that kind of just triggers a multi-car domino effect. Luckily for Scott Crump, he is locked into the next round, so despite picking up relatively heavy damage at this point, not going to be too concerned. Caution number 5 of the day. We'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle. Friday, August 16th and Saturday, August 17th. The race everyone talks about. The Bommarito Automotive Group 500, only at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Go to www.traceway.com now, because the first deal is the best deal. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Discover Downstate Illinois.
And we are back here at Bristol, getting set after caution number 5. It's Ethan Stanley, the control car once again. Gavin Hibbs with a bit of a slow restart there up on the high side of Hunter Smith. Smith now down to his inside. Hibbs up 20 positions. Smith up 14 on the day. 2 of our biggest movers here so far. Seth Rawls up a bunch of positions as well, as Mark Rebilas going to go around at the tail of the field. Ty McIntosh, another one of those to go around as we're under caution once again. These drivers forgetting how to drive here tonight in this stage of the race, as we had such a great run going, and all of a sudden, well, we're going to get all the cautions. Rebilas just going to lose it. McIntosh nowhere to go, and that will trigger the caution here just past lap number 90, just prior to that 100 lap mark on the day. McIntosh going to come around to the tail of the field. So we'll let race control sort that one out, and we'll take a ride around this track with a couple of these drivers as we try to sort out some of the administrative side. So we'll be right back. Working lap number 100 now, under caution for the 6th time tonight. We're going to see if we can get a driver interview here, potentially with the driver of the number 40, Tyler Fody. He's been involved in a few incidents here tonight, including a highly documented one with the 15 of Chad Frankenfield. Chris Wright has just gone down to have a quick look and see if Tyler Fody will make himself available to us here in just a few moments' time, as I actually think the lights are about to go off on the iRacing.com pace car. Note they're going to stay on just one more time, as I believe we'll go 1 to green next time by, with about 74 laps to go in this one. Ethan Stanley, Gavin Hibbs, Hunter Smith, Tyler Fody, Seth Rawls, the top 5. Ethan Burrell, Chase Cabry, Chad Frankenfield, Jaden Racimus, and Connor Thompson are your top 10 runners here. So just a quick reminder of the schedule here tonight. We'll have this race as the last race of the round of 9. We'll be off again next week before we head to Chicagoland on June the 17th for our championship round of 4 drivers, 1 race to set the title. Lights are off on the iRacing.com pace car. We're going to go green this time by. It's Stanley and Hibbs, Fody and Smith, Burrell and Rawls, Frankenfield and Cabry, Racimus and Thompson. The rest of your top 10, just behind them, Nick Massey, Jesse Racimus, Tate Lytle, Brandon Ultra, Jay Connor, Matthew Weeks, Ty McIntosh, and Mark Rebilas rounding out those cars. On the lead lap, Scott Crump out there on the track, but he is 2 laps down as the pace car's off. We're going to go green now. Green flags in the air. We're back underway. Great jump there by Ethan Stanley, as we'll watch the rear of the field, make sure everyone able to make it through cleanly, and see if we can get ourselves a couple of green flag laps in a row here. Start setting the pace and working our way back forward. One thing to keep an eye on here is Chad Frankenfield is closing the gap back up to Tyler Fody now. We'll see if potentially that bumper comes back into play. Chris Wright's rejoined us here. Chris, what have you learned, my friend?
I have learned that the question you asked, the whole group is good with it whenever, if we keep getting a lot of yellows and rotation in here. And for anybody who is mad that we're going to interview the Lake Norman guys tonight, everybody has access to this Discord. You are more than welcome to be in here and get interviewed.
Did you see what I just saw right there?
Chad wide?
No. Well, yes, but speaking of Chad, let's keep an eye on this here real quick as he's catching up to the rear end of Tyler Fody. If anything happens, I would expect probably an immediate penalty to come into play. Is Chad going to take to the left side of Tyler Fody here and work his way up to try to get into that 3rd position? So great drive back by Chad Frankenfield, I will say here, but not going to be easy to get by Tyler Fody. What I was pointing out, though, is Tyler Fody had a brief blink where when he came back, his car had completely fallen apart for just a brief second. It was one of the weirdest things I've seen in the longest time. Fody and Chad side by side again, as Tyler Fody figures Well, I was going to say he's going to let Chad by, but never mind. He dumps back down to the inside. They're going to be side by side. Fody going to slide up just a little bit. Chad going to pinch down. Something tells me that we're probably not done with contact between these two.
Well, let's remember, Chad has got way newer tires because he spun and came and got him, so he should be able to drive his way to the front.
Should and will are two different things, of course, as now we see Hunter Smith looking to the inside of Tyler Fody. Chase Caber looking to the inside of Hunter Smith. That's 4th, 5th, and 6th on the racetrack. Great drive, by the way, by Hunter Smith and Jesse Racines just behind him. Both of those drivers doing a nice job working their way up. We actually have a battle just about to brew here between Jesse and Jaden Racines. Jesse in 7th, Jaden in that 8th position. How cool will it be to see Jaden Racines get up there and pass his dad fair and square? That would be pretty cool.
Oh, the 16th lost it on his own there. He's going to be okay.
Almost hits the tire barrier. That was really close there for Connor Thompson. Able to continue on, though. Chad now catching up to Gavin Hibbs. He's going to take to the inside of that machine. Ethan Stanley has caught his teammate, Scott Crump, to put him now 3 laps down to the race leader. Unfortunately for Crump, just not going to be his night here tonight. But you know he's going to battle back in that championship race. He already won 2 races this round. The only driver actually to win any races this round so far is Scott Crump. So he's got a little bit of room to have some bad luck for once. As the battle's on for the lead, Hibbs down to the inside of Ethan Stanley. Those guys are on 50 tires from lap 55 now, so approaching 70 laps on those sets. Chad 30 laps newer, so realistically the 15 should be the race leader here momentarily, just based off the fact that he does have 30 laps fresher rubber aboard that kick in the tires, number 15 Ford Mustang.
Yeah,
battle here as well, Chris. Fody and Racines. Kind of battles all throughout is, whoa! Both Chad and Ethan went for a bit of a slide right there up front. New leader, it's Chad Frankenfield out front of Ethan Stanley. Stanley trying to fight back, but I think those old tires kind of come into play here, Chris.
Yeah. And we almost went 3 wide. Ethan Burrell looking inside the 07. The 07's really struggling right here.
Jaden Racines, I believe another one of those guys to pit on lap number 55. No, he pit on 63. Still much older tires than these guys around him. 60 laps older, as Tyler Fody now going to fall back. Gavin Hibbs going to get by him. Ethan Stanley falling like a bit of a rock here. Jesse Racines now up into that 2nd position. We'll see if he's going to be able to chase down Chad Frankenfield at the front of the pack. But a couple strong contenders here, 3rd, 4th, and 5th between Ethan Stanley, Gavin Hibbs, and Tyler Fody. And of course, just behind them, Chase Cabery, another driver you can't count out of this one, and Hunter Smith on track to have one of his best performances here tonight as well. This is a gaggle of race cars right here.
And right now, Stanley and Fody.
Fody and Stanley side by side. Hibbs and Cabery side by side. Matthew Weeks continuing to blink, so gotta wonder if potentially that is an isolated issue for himself, as well as an issue for Tyler Fody. Not really seeing it with anybody else, but just unfortunate there for those guys. Is Fody going to be able to clear? Goes to single file. Everyone else dodging and weaving back here behind him, trying to gain every possible position that they can. You're seeing Hunter Smith side by side with Jay Connor. Connor's one of those guys that has been caught up in a couple incidents tonight. His car's looking pretty clean. Well, maybe a dent on the bumper now, as he just gave it to Gavin Hibbs.
Yeah, he did give it to him right there. Oh, Stanley's
this
really
isn't going to be
checking
good.
up here.
Oh, Connor in the wall. Hard hit for Connor. Hibbs goes around. Caution's going to come out once again. Oh, Rebilas and Rawls going to get involved in that one at the tail. You knew that was coming, Chris. Looks like a little bit of net code, I believe, onto the rear end of that 95. Going to send him around. Connor goes to the inside. Probably would have been contact anyways. Connor to the inside of Hibbs, then slides way back up the racetrack. That collects Gavin Hibbs. Seth Rawls going to get a piece of that with Mark Rebilas as well. I want to back that up and see how Mark actually got involved. I believe he just goes to check up and slides right into it. He clips the apron, comes back up, hits the brakes because he would have hit Seth, and nowhere to go. Frankenfield, Racimus, Fody, and company all going to come down pit lane. Just over 40 laps remaining in this one. I want to have a quick word, actually, with Nick Massey, as he's one of those guys on the outside looking in, trying to get himself into a playoff spot. We'll go ahead and pull him in now. Hey, Nick, it's Robert up in the booth. You get a copy?
Yes, sir.
Currently running at the tail of the top 10. One of those drivers that likely needs a win here tonight to advance to the championship 4. What's your outlook in this closing 40 or so laps?
Yeah, just gonna try to go for it, I guess. I've been trying to save a little bit. I feel really good. I was just starting to come alive, and every time it kind of starts to come to life, it seems the yellow comes out. So I think we just got to go for it here and try to get up there, and hopefully can beat Weeks by 6 points, but it's going to be tough. There's not a lot of cars left out here, so I think pretty much got to win this thing.
Is there any sort of strategy amongst the Lake Norman teammates, maybe to help out guys such as yourself or Ethan Stanley that are on the outside looking in here tonight?
Not really, not as of yet. We're kind of all scattered all over the place on different strategies, so we'll see if I get up there, if they'll work with me a little bit, but I don't know. It's going to be tough to do at a track like Bristol.
And I got to ask before we get to your sponsors here and shout outs, are you willing to do just about anything to get up there and get that win? Are you willing to use that front bumper?
It depends. If these guys keep driving the way they've been driving tonight, I think we'll get a little physical.
All right, Nick Massey, before we let you go, get you back down to your team, any sponsors you want to thank, shout outs you want to give for putting that 48 out on the racetrack?
Yeah, just shout out to you guys on the broadcast. We got one more week left to close out the season, so done a great job all year. Shout out to Chad and everybody for putting on the league, and all the teammates at Lake Norman for a pretty good season here. We'll see if we can maybe get all 4 of us in the Final 4 next week at I don't even know where's the championship finale.
You got 2 weeks because we're off
Kansas?
next week, and then we're going to Chicagoland for the championship race.
I'm not even looking that far ahead.
If you're going to get in there, you're going to have to find some short run speed here. We don't have 25 or 30 laps for you to wait to go.
Now, you got to go now. You got to use that bumper. Don't be afraid to move Fody out of the way. He'd move you, move him, and get up there, take that top spot, Nick. What you say?
All right, sounds good.
All right, good
Thanks,
luck, buddy.
guys.
That is Nicolas Massey, currently in position number 9 out there on the racetrack, Chris, as we're going to get set to go green with about 41 laps to go.
Yeah, we got the 39 on 2 tires.
I think he can handle it as we're back underway here. Great jump by Chase Cabry. That was actually pretty close. Had he moved up a couple feet further when he did, he likely would have got caught with a lane change. Ethan Stanley, I think, is on 2 tires as well. He's fallen like a rock. Cabry going to fall back as well. Now Chad goes out to the top spot, watching the gaggle behind from well up above. It's briefly going to be 3 wide. Stanley up top. Racimus in the middle. Contact there. Hunter Smith down on the inside. Matthew Weeks just behind there in position number 8. Massey's there as well with Ethan Burrell up to his outside, but it's Chad Frankenfield out front with less than 40 laps remaining here, Chris Wright.
Yeah, I just don't know about 2 tires working, especially, the 92 taking 2. He took 2 last time. So he's not changed lefts all race, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he has, and this could just be a strategy based off the fact that, yeah, we've had a handful of cautions. There's not a ton of guys here tonight. So this is kind of keeping him in the top 10. As of right now, he's the second highest running of those non-locked-in drivers. Only Chase Cabry's ahead of him right now. And just a quick gander at the points entering tonight. Ethan Stanley was one of those guys kind of in a safe spot, wasn't locked in necessarily because, of course, he was only in by 6 points. But as of right now, he's finding himself in a pretty good spot to advance solely based off of a points finish, unless Chase Cabry gets up there and wins and Matthew Weeks is able to gain a couple more spots.
Yeah, Chase is really struggling on his 2 tires. I do not think 2 tires was the call there on that last pit stop. I think it's too late after this to come and get 4 to be able to pass everybody back. And I think 2 just puts you on the defense instead of the offense. And if I'm somebody like Chase here, I think you put Chase on the offense, you give him a chance, and it's Chase's decision. I'm not blaming anybody else, it's not.
And Chris, you got to think, right? If we get a caution in the next 5 laps or so, we're going to have 20 laps, maybe even less, to go to the finish. And then, of course, at the end of these races, the intensity always picks up and some of the not so smart moves come out in the late stages of some of these races. So if that happens, then we're talking about a caution where we're 3-4 lap dash to the finish. And like you said, those 4 tires not going to come into play here. As contact right there, Chase Cabry and Chad Frankenfield going to make some brief contact as Cabry trying to take that top spot. Now it's Fody side by side with Racines. So getting down to the late stages, 30 laps to go this time. It's Frankenfield, Cabry, and Fody, the top 3, with Racines and Tate Lytle rounding out the top 5. Contact there between Ethan Stanley and Matthew Weeks. We'll keep an eye on this one as well, because if Stanley cleared himself, I don't know that he's going to be too clear next time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out, and all these guys racing for that last playoff spot, and they're all running right there together.
Of course.
And all these guys know what they need over the other one, too. Like, that makes it even worse.
They absolutely know. And of course, Frankenfield, not a playoff driver here tonight, did start the playoffs as one of those eligible drivers. Unfortunately, was eliminated in the first round. So he's just out here trying to play spoiler, trying to steal a win where one of these other guys not necessarily going to get locked in, as we see Fody and Cabry side by side. Tyler Fody going to try to get up on the inside lane, see if he can get by and take that second position. A little bit further back, there's a couple more battles. Stanley and Weeks still duking it out for that 7th and 6th positions on the racetrack. But up here is the battle we're about to watch between Tate Lytle and Tyler Fody. And of course, you can't count out the Chase Cabry and Tyler Fody battle either, as we are now 25 laps to go.
Yeah, so we've already ran off 15 laps since the restart, and I mean, I'm looking back there at a guy who needed long runs tonight, Nick Massey, once again, just not going on these short runs, just not, I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of places he can go, but I have a feeling if this stays green, he's going to be moving forward at the end, but I just don't know if there's going to be enough left.
I mean, time just ticks away so quickly here at Bristol, Chris. We've been live just under an hour for this race itself, and we're 23 laps to go out of 175, so including those 7 cautions, that just shows how quickly these lap times tick off here tonight. So if you're not going now, I think you're going to be screwed.
Yeah, and we talked about that with him, so this is his playoff hopes. He's got to try to dig down and find something. And Weeks can't get around the 92, so
that's where you might see a caution, honestly. These guys duking it out really hard. Of course, both of them needing every possible spot. You know that they're going to be willing to take some risks, and that's where something could come into play. A slight mistake out of one of these guys pushing it too hard in the late stages. We're already 20 laps to go, and that's really, like 5 minutes of racing, Chris? Maybe even less?
Yeah, running out of time.
So we'll see.
Running out of time to try to run down a dream here, boys.
Yeah. You gonna sing us that song or what?
I can't. I would. It would be Tom Petty would resurrect himself, come back, and sprinkle.
He'd go Chad wide with his fists and just knock you out. As this is a gaggle here. Weeks on the inside, Stanley up top, Smith on the inside, Burrell up top, Massey on the inside, Rawls up top, in that gaggle right there, you have 4 playoff drivers all trying to lock themselves into that championship for us. Stanley gets a little bit sideways.
Stanley is really holding on right now.
Battle for the lead as well. Chris Cabry to the inside of Frankenfield. They're catching up to Mark Rebilas here, about to put him 1 lap down. He is the 15th place driver, and he's going to get the outside wall as the top 4 are going to go by, and the top 4's all together here. Look at this from high above, basically under a blanket, and Jesse Racines himself not too far out of this one either. This is going to get interesting, Chris.
It's going to get wow. That's what it's going to get.
Absolutely. Is Fody all over the rear end of Cabry. Lytle down to the inside of Fody. Going to try to work his way up to the 3rd position. Frankenfield just going to do what he can to try to hold the rest of these guys off. Wouldn't be surprised if the bumper comes into play, especially for a guy like Cabry, knowing that he was so deep out of it coming into tonight and has to win to go to the championship for. Desperation going to come into play here, and that's where it could get a little bit wild at the front. Could take out this top 4 even, and we see a surprise winner such as a Jesse Racines, or even one of those guys like a Matthew Weeks or Nick Massey that aren't too far out of this.
Well, I told you, I thought Nick Massey would be moving forward here towards the end of the race.
He's moving.
Too little, too late, but he's passed that whole group of cars.
I'm gonna correct you, Chris. You say too little, too late here. On speed, no, he's not getting back up here. But he's got himself in a safe spot right now. If he can catch up to Jesse Racines, I think Nick Massey still has a very realistic shot at getting the win in this one.
I think what Nick's sitting there needing is a caution.
I don't think Nick wants a caution. I think he wants a last lap bit of carnage involving this top 4, which I think it's shaping up to be that way. 10 to go, coming to 9 this time is Chad Frankenfield, Chase Cabry, Tate Lytle, and Tyler Fody. Up here's Lytle going to take a look to the high side, thought about 3 wide, and if he would have had the chance to do so, he definitely would have gone up there. Just wasn't able to do so that time. Cabry still on the inside, and like I said, Chris, desperation going to come into play for that 39, because the only way he can go to the championship for is by standing in victory lane here in just a couple of minutes from now.
Well, I think if a caution comes out, this is going to change everything, because nobody's got tires left, I don't believe. Or they might, but
only 4 sets available tonight, 3 sets laying in the pits, and most of these guys have been down pit road at least 3 times. As caution's out. For what?
I don't know.
Chris,
it's the Seth Rawls machine, 25 machine.
Oh man, this is going to change quite a bit here. Oh, contact between Connor Thompson and Seth Rawls sends the 25 around up into the outside wall just lightly, but able to continue on. Ty McIntosh nearly clobbering his teammate there on the way by. I don't know, Chris. I think a guy like Nick Massey's in a pretty good spot right now. Got the freshest tires out of these guys, and definitely, actually, I say that, and they've actually all pit on 131, so never mind. They're all on the same strategy. Just depends who has 2 tires and who has 4 at this point from that last stop. Tyler Fody going to come down, Hunter Smith, Ethan Burrell, Ethan Stanley. I'm going to guess these are the guys that still have tires sitting on pit lane. Otherwise, you would not be coming down. So that moves Massey up to 5th, Racines up to the outside of row number 2, Lytle to the inside of row 2, Cabry and Frankenfield are going to be the top 2. We'll see what lane Frankenfield takes on that restart, and we're going to have to watch for a little bit of wheel spin to potentially come into play as well, as this, I believe, will be the first of our overtime attempts here tonight at Bristol. Chris, we're going to do one final word from our friends at Worldwide Technology Raceway, and we'll be right back.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle. Friday, August 16th and Saturday, August 17th. The race everyone talks about. The Bommarito Automotive Group 500. Only at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Go to www.traceway.com now because the first deal is the best deal. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Discover Downstate Illinois.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world.
Well, we are back. Sorry to the folks at iRacing for cutting their ad early here, but getting set for the first of up to 3 green-white checkered attempts here tonight. Chad Frankfield, the control car, opts to take the high side. Chase Cabry on the inside. Then it's Lytle and Racimus in row number 2. Just a note, again, those in blue are the drivers still alive in the playoffs that are likely to be in a bit of a desperation mode here in the closing couple laps. See what they can do to get up there and snag that victory from Frankenfield. Slow start for Cabry. Great jump there for Frankenfield as Chad going to lead us into turns number 1 and 2. We'll see if the whole field can make it clean through as Stanley goes around. Crump involved. Jaden Racimus also involved. So cautions out once again, and it involves the 92 of Ethan Stanley. I believe maybe contact with the 54 of Hunter Smith here. Yeah, the 54 of Smith slides up the track into Ethan Stanley. Scott Crump going to get absolutely clobbered from behind by Jaden Racimus there. So under caution once again. That'll bring us to our 9th caution of the day and overtime attempt number 2. And for the folks go ahead, Chris.
I believe there was contact between 37 and 54. That was netcode contact. It looks like there was some contact there.
Well, you know what? We'll take another look.
Oh, yeah, you can see yeah, definite netcode contact. Yeah, you can see the 54's left front pick up there.
So a bit of contact there at the rear potentially between Ethan Burrell and Hunter Smith. Netcode contact leads to an issue with Ethan Stanley. Let's wrap up that iRacing ad that we started, and then we'll come back with the conclusion of this one. We'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
as the white flag is displayed, we're going to go green this time by Chad Frankfield. Chase Cabry continuing to lead the way here. Chris Wright. What was the ruling from race control on caution number 9?
There was a little bit of net code out there. Actually, quite a bit of net code. There's a big gap there, and so no tally for that.
As you just heard it right there from race controller Chris Wright. We're going to get set to go this time. Fred, the pace car driver, going to head pit side. Let's see if we can get this overtime attempt in. Only one remaining after this one. Chad Frankfield on the loud pedal. Great start there by Cabry on the inside. Going to keep Frankfield honest down into turns number 1 and 2 as they're side by side down the back straightaway. Contact between Frankfield and Cabry coming around to see the white flag this time. A gaggle towards the rear. White flag displayed. 1 lap to go. And it's Frankfield out front. Cabry in second. Lytle in third. Jesse Racines and Nick Massey in the top 5. Cabry down to the inside. He's looking for the top spot. Slider up to the high side. Coming to the line this time. It's Frankfield. Wow. Wow. Cabry tried to get it, did what he could, but Frankfield gets it by 0.02 of a second over Chase Cabry, Tate Lytle, Jesse Racines, and Nick Massey. It's the boss man. The kick in the tires, 15, gonna get it done here tonight at Bristol, Chris.
Absolutely incredible, and that was major playoff implications. Ethan Stanley came into tonight needing to beat Weeks by, I believe, 3 spots. Ethan Stanley restarted at the back of the field right there, but he had to take his tires since he got spun out there, drove all the way back up to finish 8th. So I believe Lake Norman is going to have 3 of the 4 championship cars next week.
Wow. We'll have to wait to see who has officially made it to the championship 4, but we'll step away one final time to gather our our top 3 drivers here tonight in Chad Frankfield, Chase Cabry, and Tate Lytle, and they'll be standing by momentarily with Chris Wright down in victory lane. We'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle. Friday, August 16th and Saturday, August 17th. The race everyone talks about. The Bommarito Automotive Group 500. Only at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Go to WWTRaceway.com now because the first deal is the best deal. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Discover Downstate Illinois.
And we are back here at Bristol. Chris, I believe you have gathered a little bit of information about one of the drivers in the field here tonight.
Yeah, we were talking about Gerald Campbell there early in the race and what might have happened there. He had a family emergency that happened all at once, and so his focus was somewhere else. He was trying to pull down off the racetrack and obviously didn't get down far enough, but hopefully everything works out there, and Gerald can update us there in a couple days, and it's all good news when the update comes out later this week. So we're thinking about you, Gerald, and hope everything works out, man.
And now standing by with Chris Wright is our 3rd place finisher, Tate Lytle.
Yeah, I am standing down here with Tate Lytle in the Days Going By machine. Tate, you had a great run tonight. And there on the last lap, it looked like you might have a shot to win the race. When Chad and Chase, you knew what Chase needed to have there. He had to win to make the playoffs, and He ultimately went for it. Did you think for a second that when you came off of turn 4, it might have been you getting that checker flag?
Yeah, I was hoping we were going to get that caution with 6 or 7 to go. I felt like if I could just get around Chase, I was going to just roll around Chad because I had been kind of just sitting there saving the whole run. And I felt like I had a lot more pace than those two. I just couldn't get the lane to do it at that point. And that caution came out. And then, yeah, that whole last lap, I was just kind of rolling around waiting for them to do something. And I watched the replay. I was looks like if Chase is about an inch closer to Chad, they're probably both in the fence, and I'm probably winning it. So had a couple little chances at it there, but thirds not too bad. It was a decent race, and we had quite a few green flag runs. I enjoyed the green flag runs. Good times, but I got to thank Race EPI, Days Gone By, Vintage Racing Apparel. Yeah, just need a little bit more.
Yeah, and there's just one race left in the season, and I'm sure you'll be there trying to get yourself another trophy and putting that Days Going By machine in victory lane when it's Days Going By Championship week. So what's your outlook here for the one race left this season in this series, and will you be able to make a run at that championship next season?
Yeah, I mean, it should be. Obviously feel pretty good about Chicago. One of my better tracks. You can kind of move around, especially now too, and I feel like that benefits me a little bit. So yeah, we'll see. Wish I could have gotten into the playoffs in this series. I think I would have had a pretty good chance at it, but missed one too many races in the regular season and missed out by like 4 points on the playoffs. So kind of a bummer, but still got the Cup Championship in the Final Four for that next week. So hopefully we can have a decent showing at Chicago, and then a few nights later go get another championship.
Well, alrighty, Tate. We look forward to watching you later this week and next week, chasing that Cup Championship and chasing a trophy over here, and not letting these playoff guys have all the fun there in Chicago. So good luck the rest of the season, and we look forward to seeing you next season, getting to put your name back in the hat here and trying to win this Xfinity Championship.
Appreciate it.
And Chris, Tate mentioned 4 points. That is the gap between advancing to the championship 4 and being the first car on the outside looking in. Looks like your championship 4 officially is Tyler Fody, Scott Crump, Ethan Stanley, and Matthew Weeks. The first driver not to advance by just 4 points is Nick Massey. Unfortunately there for Nick, but Chris, I believe you are now standing by with our runner-up, Chase Cabry.
Yeah, I am standing here with Chase, and man, Chase, you gave it all you had. You took 2 tires, so I know that thing had to be a handful there at the end, and you knew you needed to win. Did you think when you made that move into 3 that it was going to be enough to win the race, or did you know that he was going to get back around you?
Oh, I don't know. It's I ended up missing a week because we just had some stuff going on. So I missed a week in the truck and missed a week in the Xfinity car in this round. So it hurt me really bad in both series. And so I was coming in minus 15, and I was like, well, I'm out of it. But Bristol's a really good track for me. So I thought, well, maybe I'll have a shot. Then, yeah, I took 2 tires. It was a Hail Mary. I was running 4th, and it's just so tough to make track position at this place. So I took 2, and it was super free. I mean, I was just like wrecking. I was so loose and just trying to hold on to it and make speed. And then, I actually tried to jump the start. I was going to take the black flag if it ended up giving it to me, but it was, like I said, it was a must-win scenario. So I would have been upset if I didn't try to jump it. Just when I went, he went at the same time. So he got a good, he got the advantage into 1. And then, yeah, going down the back straightaway, I said, yeah, I'm sending it. I just have to. And I was actually hoping, to be completely honest, that we would have made a little bit of contact to slow my momentum because I had to drive in so far. I was hoping that maybe it would have been like a right rear to left front scenario and just kind of kept us both messed up, but it going in the right direction. And then, yeah, once I had kind of lunged in front of him, I saw him turn down the hill to get momentum, so I just put it on the floor, and it ended up in the wall. And then I was hoping that I'd have enough, advantage to where I could just, come across his nose. But yeah, it's a must win. You got to do what you got to do. Chad ran a great race. I mean, Chad has a lot of pace everywhere we go, and Sometimes the results don't go well for him, and I didn't want to take him out to win it, but I definitely wasn't gonna just sit back and try to take second. I had to do my damnedest to try to get in, but fell short. So these boys will go at it for the championship, and it'll be exciting to watch. And I'll obviously be in the race, but unfortunately not competing for it.
Yeah, unfortunately not competing for it, but you'll be out there racing and you'll get a chance. We're going to have some good guys, yourself, Tate Lytle, Chad Frankenfield won tonight, Nick Massey's out now. We're going to have some good guys that are going to be able to try to win that race and not let the playoff boys have all the fun. So we look forward to seeing you there. And real quick before you jump out of here, are there any sponsors you want to thank or shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, I just all you guys for putting on the league every week. Chad let me be a part of this league, and just good luck to the top four. Just thank God every day for allowing us to get on here and have fun with all of our buddies, and at the end of the day, jump off and laugh about it. So, good luck to all of them, and we'll see y'all next week.
All right, that's Chase Cobb right there. Thanks for joining us tonight, Chase, and we look forward to seeing you there moving forward. And now I'm here with race winner, Chad Frankenfield. Chad, it was a crazy race tonight. We saw you and Fody get into a bit of a scuffle there, and we saw you play the strategy just right, jump the track position, and then brought everybody down pit road, and you held on there till the end. So talk to us about your race and putting yourself in position to battle Chase there at the end to win this thing.
Yeah, I struggled early in the race a little bit with the right front. I was trying so hard to save the right rear that I ended up burning up the right front, and then kind of found something a little bit on the bottom where I wasn't wearing out the stuff as much. I tried to slide job Fody there, and it didn't really work out, and he got into me after the green there. I don't know if, and it probably was a little intentional to make contact, but watching the replay, I don't think there's enough to really say he did it on purpose in terms of trying to dump me. So it's one of those things, But so after that, we just kind of regrouped, got tires, and you just got to be super aggressive on the restarts to get in position, and then you kind of can go from there. And I was just ripping the bottom. I mean, I just was right on the bottom. I had the left sides rolling. Car felt really good doing that. And I knew on the restart with the tires cooling off, if I could just get a good jump, I should be all right. But Chase just timed it perfect. And, that was an awesome finish. That was like Allmendinger, Cindric a couple of years ago. I mean, he threw it in there. I knew he was going to do it. I tried to brake to cut down. And I knew I had to run. It all depended on what kind of contact we had across the line. So it was a definitely awesome finish.
Yeah, and you're talking about the finish here, but now you're out of the playoff hunt here, and you're going to watch four guys race for a championship next week or in 2 weeks' time. Are you going to try to go out there and play spoiler? We were just talking here with Chase. There's a lot of guys who can play spoiler now. You got yourself, you got Tate, you got Chase. Nick Massey's found the speed here the last few weeks and just needed 4 more points tonight. So a lot of you guys can play spoiler, and is playing spoiler, if you can go out there and win that thing, does that shoot a message to everybody else that next year you're going to be the guy to beat?
Yeah, you always want to have good finishes. Xfinity races this season, I don't think my results really reflect the speed. For the most part, I'm getting better with the tire saving, which is putting me in better spots for the most part. But, Chicagoland, so it's going to be it's always been a decent track for me. I think if I wouldn't have won today, it would be a little bit different. But I definitely don't want to put myself in a position where I'm affecting the outcome of a championship. So definitely want to have a good run next week to get a good finish and then go into next season. But I also don't want to put myself in I don't think I'm going to be banging doors with a championship contender across the line next week, if you know what I mean. So,
well, let's put a hypothetical out there. You're running second next week to one of the championship 4 guys going into the last corner. You're right on their bumper. You ran them down, and you got to drive down in there underneath them and maybe make a little door-to-door contact coming out of 4 to win the race. You're telling me you're not going to try to go win that race?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get after it. I'm just going to make sure I don't wreck whoever I'm racing with, or contact. I think me and Chase coming through 3 and 4 there, we both kind of decided that one of us is going to win the race, so it didn't matter how we were going to do it. So, yeah, so we'll see. Just congrats, obviously, to the Championship 4 guys, and should be a good one next week for sure.
Oh, all right, Chad, before we let you get out here and celebrate your win tonight in Thunder Valley, are there any sponsors you want to thank or shout outs you want to give?
Obviously, Kicking the Tires. They've been on my car now for about 2 years, so thank you to them. Thank you to Rebilas Photography, Blue Egg Marketing, Worldwide Technology Raceway, all our partners at Elite. Thank you to ERN, you guys. Got one more race next week, and we'll be crowning another champion.
Well, you heard it right there. One more race, we're going to crown another champion, and then we're going to get ready in a few weeks' time or maybe a month and do it again. And we got the Mazda series coming up here pretty quick that Chad and the rest of the admins have created. And I want to say this, Chad. There has been some blowback. There's not an oval on the Mazda series. Do we still have time to add an oval race in there somewhere?
I could look at it for sure. In terms of dates, that's where it gets tricky. But yeah, we could. I mean, we'd have to look at anything really.
But if you want to try to join the Mazda series, I'm sure you can find Elite socials and some other things. Joining the league. Is the league still taking? Is there open entry still for all 3 series as well, Chad, for next season?
Yep, every series. Just obviously for Cup series, you got to be or in Xfinity, you got to have previous Elite experience. So that's where that gets a little tricky. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, it's fair game in terms of guys wanting to race with us.
But we will let Chad get out of here, celebrate his win, go over there and pop the champagne, Chad. It was great to see you win. Like you said, you've been running really good this year and haven't got the finishes. Well, now you got the finish, and go out there and do it 2 in a row at Chicago.
Yep, thanks, man.
Well, that was your podium finishers here tonight, Chris Wright. And final thoughts from you before we head off after what was a great race here tonight at Bristol.
Well, look, I'm going to stop you right there. It was not a great race at Bristol. We had a great finish.
It was fine.
And there's a lot of confusion between great races and great finishes. We had a great finish. I'd have liked to have seen a little bit more green
I'm going
flag
to put the
races.
Jeff Gluck poll out there, and it's going to be yes.
I would have liked to have seen a little bit more green flag racing out here tonight with the amount of cars we had and some of the guys that fell out. With less than 20 cars, we still had quite a few cautions out there. So I'd like to see that a little better, but it was not near some of the races we've had on some of these short tracks. So it was an acceptable race. I can't wait to get to Chicago, where there's going to be all kinds of bumps. There's going to be all kinds of different lanes, and there's going to be all kinds of tire wear. It is going to be a great time in Chicago. And oh, by the way, we're going to crown a champion. So make sure you tune in here to the Rebilas Photography Series and see who's going to come out on top for that championship week there. I believe it's still sponsored by Days Gone By. I think so. Confirmation there. So I believe it's going to be Days Gone By Championship week. So tune in and check it out.
Yeah, tune in 2 weeks' time, June the 17th for the championship finale here in the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series. But on behalf of Chris Wright, Chad Frankenfield, and all the admins here at the Elite Racing League, my name is Robert Hill Jr., and we'll see you next time.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.